Welcome back to our YouTube channel. My name is Nicola and I am the outreach specialist with REE Medical. In today's episode, I am thrilled to be joined by three REE Medical employees who are also veterans. Each of them has had a very unique and inspiring experience on their disability journey. And so I'm so excited to share their stories with you all. So welcome. I'll kind of do a little introduction. We have Todd, who I'm sure many of you have seen on our channel. Nick is a U.S. Coast Guard veteran, and he's our Director of Partnerships with REE. We have Concannon, who I also have interviewed in the past. He is a U.S. Air Force veteran and now sales supervisor with REE Medical. And we also have Scotty Hammonds, who is a U.S. Marine Corps veteran and intake coordinator with REE Medical. So welcome, you guys. Thank you so much for being on today.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So I'll just kind of get into a little bit here. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. As I was saying in the introduction, all three, Nick, Scotty, and Chris, all work for REE Medical. They're all veterans, but they each had their own unique journey with getting their disability rating. So I'm excited to kind of open up some questions here and have them each sort of give a little background about their journey and the military career, where they served, anything you guys want to share, and how you just kind of came across REE, and then we can kind of continue from there. So Nick, do you want to maybe take it away?
Yeah, it's great to be here. Nicola, thanks for having us. I was a Coastie. I served in the Coast Guard. So I'm sure the other veterans on the call here have some jokes they want to tell. But yeah, I served in the Coast Guard. I was a Coastie and served with a counter narcotics unit based in San Diego. So that was a fun time while it lasted. But unfortunately, in 2008, I was injured and medically retired from active service. Was a teacher for a while, a history teacher. Worked in cybersecurity for a little while, and then was blessed to start working with REE Medical last year in 2023.
Thank you for sharing. We love having you on the team. Chris, I'll have you go next.
Yeah, I served 10 years in the Air Force. I actually left the Air Force in 2008. Did multiple deployments to the Middle East during my time in service. My last 4 years, and I did enlisted recruiting. So this position I have now is very similar to that. I've been with REE Medical now since March of 23.
Awesome. And Scotty, last but not least.
Yeah. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, 6 years in the Marine Corps, 2 combat deployments to Iraq. Been with REE since July of last year, 2023, and that's my mission. That's my passion, is serving vets.
I love that. Well, so excited to have all three of you on here today. If you guys wouldn't mind just sort of going a little bit more into detail. I know each of you had a different experience to get your disability benefits to where you feel you deserved, and rightfully so. You did the journey on your own. So I would love to maybe start off with that and kind of hear more about that experience.
Yeah, as you said, I didn't use REE Medical for my journey through the disability and the VA. I actually used a very well-known national VSO. They did provide value in that there was direction on next steps, but there was no guidance on how to get through those steps. It was left to me to find out what documentation they needed to support my claim. In the end, it took me 10 years and 5 separate ratings because the ratings kept being denied. There was no expediency in the process. That affected my family, a transition out of the military and trying to find my place in this world in a new career. It was 10 years that we desperately needed to be rated where I am now. That's a little bit about my journey. I did use a VSO. There was no cost associated with using that VSO, but there was no efficiency and there was no expediency, and it was a hard 10 years.
That's a long time. I think for you, especially the time aspect, what you were sharing and how much it took away, like with your family and what was involved. Thank you for sharing. And now, Scotty, you used also a separate company to help with your disability rating. So do you want to maybe share a little bit about that journey?
So my journey, it's kind of, Nick and Chris's combined. It's a little bit of everything. So when I got out of the Marine Corps in 2007, we came off a deployment and we flew straight home, and I was out that week. So there was no assistance. There was no TAPS class. I didn't know where to start. So going into the Marine Corps 2 weeks after high school, coming home, talking with the VSO, submitting everything that, was bothering me mentally and physically. Everything got denied, right? The VA stated that, we're admitting that you have these conditions, but they're not service connected. So I got denied there. I did a lot of research on my own. I went back and forth probably about 4 times with the VA. The experience was very different compared to what REE Medical offers. It's coaching and guiding, and this is what the matters are, and this is, we'll see if we could do anything. And that's where I was able to be taken care of.
Now, I know, Chris, you did go through the REE Medical process before, or you had already been employed with REE Medical before you started that process, right?
So when I got out of the military in 2008, I didn't know where to begin, right? The VA process, it's very intimidating. You don't think about what's in your medical because you don't really have access to your medical records. So I didn't do anything for like 10 plus years. First, I had friends who went through companies that did the back end option. I called them. It wasn't a good fit for me. So I decided to start this process myself first. And I got to 60%. Shortly after that, I started working with REE Medical and just helping veterans, even coworkers that had used this process, pushing me to go through REE, helping vets, seeing the value of what we offer here, which I think the biggest value is the louder voice in the process, where a lot of veterans, they just want to be heard, knowing that I can go to an examination, that doctor, nurse, they're going to just listen to me. They're not there to judge me. They're not there to try to trick me into saying things. They're just going to listen. And it was super painless. I went through the process. I was at 60. I was going to be good staying at 60%. But then I decided to go through with REE, came back 100% permanent total. The only regret I have is I didn't find REE Medical sooner. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. What I love about this company is we're going to let you be heard, which is super important. That's the biggest value that I think we give here.
I love that. So I love that you were inspired by, you were already working with the company and you were just inspired by other veterans and coworkers, like you said, who did work with us and decided to do it on your own. That's amazing. How, I guess, all 3 of you, would you describe your personal experiences either doing on your own or working with someone else versus with REE?
So what I would say for me, when I initially got to 60% on my own, I literally didn't know what I was doing. I had no confidence going on the CMP exams. I didn't even know if I did well in the CMP exams. I did a total of 3. One was pretty fair. The other one, I just knew when I walked out the door, it was going to be a giant letter of denials. When I went through the process with REE Medical, I had a lot of confidence because I had a lot of people supporting me all the way up to going on the appointment and being treated like the veteran should be treated, like a person, not like a number. And that's really why I say it was night and day, because I went into those appointments with confidence, not feeling defeated.
I would say that being a director here at REE Medical now for a year, knowing the value that we bring to the veteran community, I just really wish I had known about a company like REE Medical. Just as Chris was saying, I very much was treated as a number in the system. The medical care that I was getting was sustaining me. It wasn't healing me. It wasn't getting me better. I felt like I was lost in the system. I really had no guidance on the direction that I should be taking. And that had a profound effect. Every disability rating that came back, denied, just mentally thinking maybe I don't deserve this. The value that REE Medical brings is so worth our veteran community not having to experience that feeling of lost in the system and having that advocate on your side. The value is absolutely tremendous. I wish I had known about REE Medical or companies like REE Medical when I was doing this on my own.
But I would also say, Nick, yours was a success story where you hear a lot of people just quit.
Absolutely.
First minute of resistance, they're going to give up. I think all of us at one point wanted to quit, probably, when we started the process through the VA. And I think that's why with REE Medical, again, the support you get here is where the value is. You're going to have a team of, I know when I was helping veterans, I was a big supporter, you're almost a cheerleader for them of why they should fight for what they deserve. And I think that's what you're going to get with us.
I agree 100%.
I was going to say too, and because I want Scotty, I want you to answer the same question. I think the biggest thing, I think all 4 of us, especially here, is the support from family, friends, but they can only do so much, right? So kind of the same question with you, Scotty, what was that, for you experience with the support and now being with REE and how it has impacted your life?
So I think that is the biggest thing, right? It's just being heard, right? And that's what I tell vets. I talk to vets all day, every day. This is your chance just to be heard. I went through the process myself. I went through a VSO. I went through another company. And even though I got results a little bit with each, Nobody tried to figure out what I was thinking or preparing me for the next steps. At one point, most veterans do quit and they stop trying to get these benefits that they're entitled to. It's ups and downs, and it takes a long time. You're just curious, and like Chris said, you don't know what happened on the comp and pen exam. You just the fear of the unknown. So these are definitely benefits that we're entitled to.
Because every veteran has their own story, right? Every claim process is completely different. We all went through the fight. We all went through the battle in the military. And now when we leave, the biggest misconception, and I had it for the longest time, is I got my limbs, I got everything, I'm good, right? But you're not good. What you're trying to do is show the value of what we can offer them and see why they should be fighting for things. So a lot of times when they get denied, they may have a back issue and they just want to quit. And you have to kind of just talk to them about like, hey, Nexus process we used to offer, just different processes. And I think that was the biggest thing for me is sharing my story, and probably with Nick and Scotty, where I had moments where I was going to give up. But a company like REE Medical really did save my life. Just sharing what we can offer here. And I think from all the conversations that I have with veterans, the biggest takeaway is they want to be heard, right? And that's a big thing that we do here is your voice is going to be heard. So that's what I would share with them.
What about you, Scotty?
Yeah, very similar, right? 2007, I came back from Iraq. 2 weeks later, I was out of the Marine Corps, right? No vacation, none of that. Some of the Marines I came back with, there were missing limbs, or some guys didn't come back. So getting this mind frame where it's like, maybe I don't deserve, or, these guys deserve more than me, right? And I think that's a lot of the mindset that a lot of the vets I talk to every day, it's whether that be survivor's guilt, whether that be comparing your injuries, disabilities, it's natural to do. Everybody's different, right? Different physical, mental disabilities. But again, I would just encourage them, like, this is what you're entitled to. You can't look at the 3-4 individuals to the left and right of you and figure out, where do I stand? It doesn't work like that, right? So just at the very least, just somebody to listen to you and maybe try to figure out a best plan of attack and go from there.
Not only with time and, how much, it's required, right? Every journey is different, but also financially wise, right? Like, of course, there's the option to do on your own, the free option. Obviously with REE Medical, it is a service that we provide. A lot of people know that, we're very open, transparent conversations in our free consultations, but especially, Scotty and Chris, please feel free to chime in on it too. If you guys, maybe the differences between our, front end payment and the back end payment options, there are some companies out there that do take advantage of our veterans and, the shark companies, so to speak. If you guys maybe want to share a little bit about the differences of those two and, the impact that it has.
Yeah, most definitely. So obviously there's a humongous difference between, a service-based company and an outcome-based company. These outcome-based companies, from my personal experience, right? Like I mentioned, my integrity is not going to be compromised. Maybe they wanted to coach me on what to say that wasn't the truth, or tell me I should claim XYZ when that wasn't my goal at all. That was the big difference to me at the beginning. This is my goal. This is what I want to do. Where it ends up gets me. I was able to get to 100%, with their assistance. That the back end model they took, I believe, I ended up, paying those guys around like $12,000 to $13,000.
That is a lot of money. And
it's a tremendous amount.
Like you
Absolutely.
said, you don't regret it, which is wonderful. But I know some veterans don't maybe have that luxury, right? Like they're they need that back pay. They need that increase. And, they rely family livelihood, right? So
it feels and it'll get promoted like, it's not out of your pocket, but it definitely is. That's
your money.
Yeah,
right. It is your
absolutely
money.
It is.
That's
absolutely.
The way they try to, like, I had a friend who went for one of those companies. He's like, hey, it's not your money at the end of the day. I'm like, well, it is, right? I spoke to a company before I started working with REE Medical. They wanted me to sign a contract. When I actually took the time to read the contract, what it was basically saying is, for the rest of the time I have an open claim through the VA, even if I did stuff on my own, they could still get a percentage of that. So I always found that weird that I could literally do the work on my own, but because this company is attached to my name, they could still get a percentage of that. So what I would say is if you're choosing between what REE Medical can do and you're looking at some of these back-end option companies, make sure you read the fine print, because the one thing we get a lot, Scotty, is, hey, I'm already working with this other company and I signed a contract. Can you help us? Well, the answer is sure, we can help you, but they're still being entitled to that back pay most likely.
the free option wasn't really free. I have good friends who have gone through a VSO just like I did. There are amazing VSOs, and there are not so great VSOs, just like there are amazing companies like REE Medical that are helping veterans get through this journey. And there are really horrible companies that are taking a tremendous amount of money from our veteran community. And I would say in a time when they're most vulnerable and looking for help and really just are out of options. My experience, it didn't cost me monetarily, but it cost me 10 years of my life, cost me 10 years of being able to support my family the way that I should be able to support my family. And it cost me a tremendous amount of heartache and depression, feeling like I wasn't good enough. What I did wasn't deserving enough. I would actually be really interested, Chris, in your opinion, where do you see the value of REE Medical, having actually experienced REE Medical, knowing what we do?
The value for me is I looked at it as an investment to my future. I have family, so I have kids, right? So Chapter 35, Champ VA. I looked at all those things, right? The price tag is a price tag until you put value in front of it. And that's what REE Medical will do. It will build the value of what we can do for the veteran. Just like you said, Nick, you didn't lose anything but time, but you lost a lot of money with that time. And you had a lot of battles you had to deal with over 10 years getting to where you wanted to be.
And just kind of piggyback what you're saying, Nick, right? It's not always about the money or about the time, right? If you would have been correctly rated where you were 10 years ago, that those funds could have helped therapy, could have helped chiropractor, could have helped physical therapy. You know what I mean? So when that's being said, there's a lot to it, right? And a lot of times, kind of to go back on the outcome-based companies, what I see as an intake coordinator, this is what I hear from vets. They'll get promised a bunch of stuff and throw everything to the wall, and whatever sticks, and what doesn't, oh well. But it's not that easy, right? When they come to us, it's a lot harder of a process once a veteran's been denied, right, to get that approved in the future, rather than it's just going for a new initial claim and having the correct evidence up front as well.
I love that. This is so empowering. I love it. I will wrap it up here, but one final question I want to ask all three of you. So for veterans who are watching, any advice, or what would you say to veterans maybe considering to work with a company like ours that provides the service, who might be, uncertain with seeking support, or they've gone down much of the rabbit hole that you guys have gone down, done it on their own for a while? What would you guys sort of advise and say to veterans that are watching that are maybe on the fence and considering reaching out to REE?
One, be mindful that the free option isn't always free, in that there are a lot of things factored in to that. I guarantee Chris and Scotty will say the same. We're taught to fight for each other. We look out for each other, but we have a battle buddy and we have someone looking out for us as well. And so a lot of times fighting for ourselves kind of falls to the wayside when we're in the military. When you get out, you truly do have to fight for yourself. You have to fight for the medical benefits that you deserve, that you've earned, the disability compensation that you've earned. Going the free route really did feel like I was doing it without a battle buddy. I didn't have anyone watching my back. I didn't have anyone guiding me through the process. So I would say that so the value there, and again, is the assistance through the process. But if I could say one thing to the veterans that are listening, it's learn how to fight for yourself. When we get out of the military, we lose that team that's fighting for us.
So well said. Scotty, do you want to share your bit?
If I had, anything to say at all, anybody listening that's been in my shoes, Nick's shoes, Chris's shoes, give us a call. At the very least, you'll figure out your best options, get a plan of attack, and if we'll figure out if we're right for you, if we're not, and we'll lay it all out on the table as transparent as possible. So Nick's right. It's your life. Fight for it.
And I would say the process doesn't have to be confusing and complex, right? And that's what REE Medical kind of does for you. We will educate you through this process, right? We will prepare you for the examination. And I really think, at the end of the day, it's peace of mind, right? Knowing that you have a team, a company like REE Medical fighting for you. That is really, to me, if I'm talking to veterans right now, and you're not really sure what you want to do, or if you're ready to quit, don't quit. That's the first thing I tell you. Second thing, like Scotty said, it doesn't cost you anything to pick up the phone, call us, and see what we can do for you. Because at the end of the day, we're going to remind you it's your claim. We want you to make the best decision that you feel is best for you. Maybe this isn't going to be a good fit for you, but I promise you that at least if you call, you'll get educated on the VA process and you'll understand it's not so scary, it's not so confusing.
My goodness, this is such a great time speaking with you guys. Thank you guys so much for sharing your personal experiences.
It was great being here. Thank you for having us, Nicola.
Awesome.
Yeah, Nicola,
We'll talk
appreciate
soon.
you. Whatever you guys need. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.